Welcome, welcome. Welcome once again to EOB Salon Talk. This episode of EOB Salon Talk is sponsored by Blossom-A. Blossom-A is actually a great hormone builder for our females, Ladies. Get your Blossom-A in my link. What it does, it helps with your hormones. It actually, bring you back to your younger self.
It balances you out.
It's definitely going to balance you out, and it's going to make you be more moisturized. If you know what I'm saying, ladies, you do know.
Okay.
And also for my ladies that are going through menopause, this actually helps with night sweats and that kind of stuff. So, Toy, this is yours.
Thank you.
Tonight's guest is none other than Toy-Joan Rogers. How are you, Toy?
I'm doing good.
Introduce yourself, because I think I introduced you wrong. So
that's quite all right. I'm married now, so it's Toy-Joan Gilliam, but everybody just calls me Toy.
So Toy and I went way back. Toy and I met. Toy is a hairstylist. So tell him what you do, Toy. Tell the viewers what you do.
So I've been a hairstylist, a licensed cosmetologist now for 20 years. And even how I got into the hair industry was so weird because my goal, even as a teenager, was to be a celebrity hairstylist. That was like my ultimate goal. So I was trying to do any and everything that I could do just to be that. It didn't work out like that. How I ended up doing hair was that I got fired from every other job. So I'm telling you, like, I worked at CVS, I got fired. I worked at Express, got fired. I mean, every job. It was just like, and I always tell people when they ask me, how did you get into this? I'm like, this is the only job that never fired me. Because it was just easy for me to do. And it kept me through 20 years. So.
Well, I'll say I'm glad you were fired, first of all. And I'm glad you decided to be a hairstylist, because we probably would not have met.
Exactly.
So I'm going to give you all a little backstory. So I met Toy maybe almost 16 years ago.
Yeah.
16 years ago. Toy was my road dog. We traveled together to all our events, whether it be DE events or whatever. Toy used to be my roommate.
Yes.
We had so much fun.
A ball.
We could give you some stories. Toy is real
And all we got to do is just look at each other. We know exactly it's just a look.
Yeah, it was always about the look, though.
Just a look.
So we used to travel together and study together, and so we've been through a whole lot. But I know now you're going in a different path. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to start out by, this is Salon Talk. And you're one of my first hairstylists we have on this show. Toy is actually an amazing hairstylist, by the way. So like I said, I was very grateful she got fired. And she's a great educator also. You are a great educator. I want to ask you, what was it like being as a business owner? Because as hairstylists, we are business owners, and you have done the business. How has it been for you? How has that been?
Well, over the years, like you said, once you're like an entrepreneur, especially being in the hair industry, you're like your own business
boss.
Like you have your own business, you're like your own boss. And so especially like if you're renting a booth, like a lot of, with salons, you have your percentage and you kind of still owned by the boss at the salon. But like when you kind of rent a booth, you kind of like your own boss. And so I've experienced over the years just being my own boss, but it wasn't until that I actually got my own salon when I had the experience of really seeing how this thing works. With my husband now, he wasn't my husband at the time, and he had a business for many years. He used to always say, your goal is to make all your money in your first week to pay all your bills.
Yep.
That's your goal. And I stuck by that, and that was like my thing. As soon as I got my own salon, I was saying, okay, my goal is to make sure that I have my rent for both my home and the salon, and my Con Edisons and my water bill, and all my supplies that I need my first week, and then I'll know that I'm doing okay.
Right.
So that was like my goal and my focus for so many years. That's one aspect of it. But then the other aspect of it is like the people and their character and dealing with their personalities and dealing with their religion and dealing with what they feel is right and what's not right for your business.
Right.
For your head.
I'm glad you said that, because the struggle we go through, because we've had this conversation many times. we have a lot of people that maybe rent a space, and we see where they are looking at it, and they don't think that that's your business. That's when you rent a booth, it's your business within the business.
Yes. Yes.
You have to teach it. You have to treat it as such. And we find that a lot of people, they're so disrespectful with it that they just say, "Oh, it's your place," so they don't care.
Yes.
But I'll say to a lot of hairstylists, I know you've had a lot of experience throughout the years, and we're going to dive into some different ones. What are some of the lessons, though, you've learned? Because you've been doing hair for how many years?
Oh, for about 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
In a couple of months, it'll be 20 years.
So for 20 years, so right here, we're over almost 50 years of experience. Almost 50 years of experience sitting here. So I know we have some stories. What are some of the experiences you've had, good and bad? What are some of the things you've learned in this business?
Well, the first thing I did learn prior to me opening up my own salon is I was that one that didn't really care because I was renting a booth. I didn't really care as much as the owner. And I remember I had a conversation with this young lady that used to kind of mentor me, and she said, "You reap what you sow." Right? So if you're not helping her by sweeping up or cleaning the bathroom when you see that it needs to be clean, why do you think that God will bless you with something and have people that help you? And I remember when she said this to me, it was probably like in 2008 or 9, and I didn't even realize that I was going to be opening up a salon after that. So the biggest lesson that I learned about even doing what I want others to do unto me was that. So what I did, I started helping her out. I was working in a salon in White Plains. That was one big lesson that I learned, and I did realize that, whatever you want done to you, you have to help and do to others.
Yep, we speak on that a lot.
Absolutely. And then the other lessons that I learned is that you can't please everybody. That was like really big for me, even owning a salon. For a couple of years, I was by myself. I had 4 stations, but I was there by myself.
I remember.
Yeah, I was there by myself, and I used to be like, "Oh my God, Claudette got 2 salons and she filled up, everything is filled up." Or like I would see other people and I'm like, "God, why am I by myself?" But didn't even realize, I think that was probably the best thing for me.
Yes.
And that's one thing I had to realize, that what is best for me.
What is yours is yours.
It's for me, like based on my personality, based on my character, based on what I can handle. And then when I started getting people in the salon with me, I'm like, "Oh my God, this is crazy!" Like, because you're dealing with so many
personalities.
The personalities.
I don't know if you remember this. I remember one day you asked me. I think we were on our way to do a class together. I think it was Circle of Sisters.
Okay.
Actually, and you said to me, "How do you do it?" She said, "I just have one extra person with me." She said, "You're dealing with about 14 people. How do you do it?" And I remember I said to you, that's the first, actually, it wasn't Circle of Sisters, it was another one in Jersey. It might have been the first time I met your husband.
Okay.
And I smiled when you asked me the question. And I remember we were getting ready to do the show, and I was just like thrown into it at the time. I think it's my first year with Design Essential, actually. And your husband prayed for me. And after that, we were on our way back. He had left and whatever. Well, I didn't know it was your husband.
Yeah, we wasn't married at that time.
So you turned to me and you said, "Yeah, Claudette, remember the question I asked you? How do you do it?" I said, "By the grace of God."
Wow, and that's so true.
I said, "By the grace of God." Because people see you in business and they don't understand what it takes to do what we do, right?
Exactly.
They don't understand that when you lay in your bed, sometimes that
your mind just keep going and you're thinking about everything in the shop.
Everything.
Yeah.
So I hired a new stylist this week, and we were having a conversation. She used to own a business, and we were having a conversation, and she said to me, "I admire you." I said, "Huh?" I said, "You've been in this business for years. I should admire you." She said, "No." She said, "Let me tell you, I would never do it again." I said, "Yes, you would. You just do it differently." Because when the lights are out, it's your issues.
Yep.
When the waters are out, it's your issue. When the TV's not working, it's your issue.
Toilet tissue. Yep.
Toilet paper. Whew.
Everything.
So I know you've transitioned, and I know you're doing some different stuff. And I want to ask this. How did you cope with COVID?
How did I cope with COVID?
How did COVID affect you, positive or negative? How did you cope as a hairstylist? How did you cope?
Okay, so honestly, I had my salon for 7 years.
Yeah.
Right? I opened my salon in 2010 and then I closed it 2017. Right? And right after that, my husband has a large space, so I took half of the space. So it's like I have a suite. I have other stations there, and then I have my niece working there. And
I'm jealous of the sweet life.
Another lady working there with me. So honestly, I was grateful that I didn't have that burden of having a salon and stylists working with me, opposed to then me just being with my niece and this other young lady. That was just easy for me. It was easy. So from that perspective, I was grateful because I was like, God, I'm so glad that I don't have to pay rent still and not be working. I'm so glad I don't have to worry about my stylist possibly leaving or not coming back or wondering if they still have to pay roof rent while we're out. I was grateful for that.
Girl.
Can I just rub a leg?
Toy. You know, sometimes when things happen, I remember when you were closing the salon, we had a talk.
I was sad.
And you were so sad about it. And I remember I said to you, so, you know what? Everything happens for a reason, though. You never know where the blessing is going to come from. But I think that was your blessing. We so busy complaining about things that are happening. Oh, this is happening to me. And we never take a minute to think that is not happening to you. It's happening for you.
For you. Absolutely.
So God did that for you, and that was a blessing for you. One thing I like about you, Toy, you are always so spiritual. And we're going to get into some conversation, and I know it's your spirituality that I need with this conversation. Because I've heard what is your craziest experience in the salon? What is one of the craziest experiences you've had as a hairstylist in the salon? Let me just ask you that way.
Oh my God.
Craziest. Because I'm going to tell you something I heard this week.
From a client or from having someone in the salon with me?
Either way. One or the other, because they're going to be good.
What I can say, so I won't expose anything or anyone, is that you see that mental illness is real.
It is. It is.
That I will say.
Yeah.
And you start to normalize it, and it's not good. And that over the years, I started thinking about when I worked, because I used to work in Habib's and in the Rochelle, and I worked in Creative Fingers and White Plains. Like, I'm thinking about all the salons that I've been in, even having my salon, my old salon, Joni Manuel Salon. And over the years, you start to see that people have a lot of mental issues. And we get so used to it, it just becomes that we laugh about it, but it's like, it's not funny.
Yeah.
You know, like, so what I can say is that that's what I've learned, that people have a lot of mental issues and they try to put that on you. And we've become like counselors. And I remember one thing E told me, my husband used to say, like, it'd be times I'd be like, what did they say? And he said, I don't know. And I'd be like, what do you mean you don't know? He'd be like, Toy, if I really gathered all this information that people tell me, he said, I used to go home heavy because of people.
And that's what, for me, I think I have learned over 25 years. I'm learning to let it go.
Yes.
I learned that people's opinion of me has nothing to do with me. I'm learning that your issue is your issue.
Yes.
Not mine.
Yes.
I'm learning that. So I'm going to break it up a little. I'm going to tell you one of the crazy. I'm going to drop some crazy stuff. So a client called me for a consultation. She has natural hair. She was referred to me. And she said, I'm struggling. I said, what's going on? She said, I need a consultation. So I set the consultation up, but I asked a couple questions like we do before. Yeah. And she said, well, my heart is broken because the hairstylist told me my hair will never grow because of my curl pattern and my texture. So wait, I'm in the salon having a conversation with her on my break. So I have a stylist here that's she's almost 80 years old. And I turned to her and I said, Miss Edie, have you ever heard this before? She said, what did you just say? I said, I've heard a lot of crazy things. But I thought this was the craziest one, but it gets better. She said, well, the lady told me my hair won't grow because of the curl pattern and the texture. So I said, all right, you could come tomorrow for the consultation. So I move her consultation up.
Yeah, because you want to see her hair.
I want to see her hair. I want to see what's going on, because there's no way. You and I know hair don't grow from texture and curl pattern. No. Hair don't break from texture and curl pattern. And as a trichologist, you know, it's what you eat. It's your
Absolutely.
So let's educate some of our hairstylists that may think that a person's curl pattern. Can we just help them with some of the reasons your hair ain't growing? Well,
medication, stress is like the biggest thing. Definitely, because when you were talking about hormones earlier, the hormone that is released to kind of counteract against stress, if that's being released as much as the other hormones are supposed to be being released, then you hair is not going to be growing. And we know that estrogen, especially for women, is big for hair growth.
Amen.
So if your estrogen levels are out of whack and you stressed out, then you know that's like one major reason why your hair won't grow.
She left with some blossoming, by the way. She did. Yep.
Hormone balance.
Yep.
Okay. Another big thing is what you said. What are you eating? What are you intaking? What are you feeling about yourself?
And I also so she came. Mm-hmm. So she came and I touched her hair, feel her hair, and I said to her, okay, so this is fixable. Mm-hmm. This is easy to fix. And she showed me a picture, because I always like to ask client, what is your desired result? Mm-hmm. Where are you going?
Absolutely.
She said, nobody ever asked me that. I said, no, I need to know what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Where are we going in 5 years? Mm-hmm. Where you want your hair to be?
Absolutely.
She said, well, I don't do blow dryers. I don't do hair dryers. I don't do flat irons, because the lady told me this is why my hair ain't grow. So I said, how do you do your hair? So, how do you get your treatment? And, so we talking. So anyway, I touch and feel her. I said, well, based on your hair and feeling your hair, I could tell you that a little bit anemic and vitamin D deficiency. Mm-hmm. She said, how do you know that from touching my hair? There is no way. She said, but you're right. You're a psychic. I said, no. Your hair tells me that, honestly,
Absolutely.
Your hair told me that you're anemic. Your hair told me you need a little vitamin D. Mm-hmm. So I actually gave her some NutriBurst, some HSN, and Blossom and some other products. Mm-hmm. And she bought them right there and then. She said, Miss, she was actually in tears. Mm-hmm. And I could tell her that she was going through some hormonal stuff. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, you should go to your physician, have them check for these things. She said, well, I already know I'm anemic and I'm vitamin D deficiency, real mm-hmm. bad. Mm-hmm. I said, well, and I gave her stuff to help her. And that's another thing, too, as hairstylists. We need to have options for these clients.
Absolutely.
What to do, where to go, and educate yourself on what it looks like. Mm-hmm. Stop telling people your hair won't grow because of the curl pattern. Just tell her you're not familiar with her curl pattern.
You don't understand. You don't get it. Say something else, because that can be very detrimental to somebody's mental.
It was.
Yeah. To say that as a woman, your hair won't grow. That's the last thing, because we even in the Bible it talks about like your hair being your glory, or people just talk about it being your glory, and it defines most women.
For me, I love doing hair, and I love doing hair because I love how I make that female feel when mm-hmm. the hair is done, right? Mm-hmm. And I speak of that often, right? Why you like doing hair? Why you doing it? Why hair? I mean, apart from you being fired, because I know sometimes God takes you around the corner to take you to what your real true purpose is.
Absolutely.
Why do you like doing hair?
Honestly, if I be totally honest, I think I like the results, the ending results.
Ending results.
And when I say ending results, is because I know that I'm gifted to grow hair. That's my biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Right? So like a lot of people that come to me, they come to me because they're saying like, I'm having issues with my hair growing.
Yep.
Right? So I like 6 months down the line, they're like, oh my God, Toy, didn't it look like my hair grew? And I'm like, your hair did grow. So I like that they're happy that they're getting results. Not so much because I can do the best weave or, I do the best color, which I'm not a
hair care,
weave, but I'm into the hair care part.
So what I like about you as a stylist, I've sent clients to you and you've sent me clients. Uh-huh. And what I like is that your client will come to me and I'm like, okay, yeah. I could immediately tell what their regimen is. Or my client will come and they say, "Oh, Toy is similar to you," or "You all handle my hair similar."
Yeah.
And the reason being is that you're patient, and you thought that you were doing hair because you were fired, but it's a part of your ministry.
Absolutely.
It was a part of your ministry. You sat. I believe the chair. Standing behind the chair is such a ministry that
Absolutely.
people don't get it. I've had people cry. I had to leave them in the chair, go to the bathroom, and cry because it's such a burden. Now I learn, thanks to your husband again. I learned not to cry but to pray. So I'll go to the bathroom sometime and literally say a word of prayer.
Absolutely.
Because this person's hurting. You know, I taped a podcast before, and I was talking about this lady that sat in the chair and was telling us about how she felt like there was no hope.
Wow.
You know, so I felt like doing hair for me and for you, and this is why I wanted to have this interview with you, because I know it's like a ministry.
Absolutely, it is. What I do notice is that, see, one thing about hairstylists, you kind of, unless you just have like, most hairstylists attract who they are.
Your tribe.
Yeah. And so what I noticed over the years is that the women that come to me, a lot of them are like first ladies, so I have them in their little category. Well, I shouldn't say little, but I have them in their category. But then I have others. The majority of the people that come to me are those that kind of straight away from God, that God wants back.
Yeah.
That's who I usually get, because they sit in my chair and then all of a sudden God's talking to me like, okay, just ask them a simple question.
Yeah.
And then that question will go into something else.
And then you start ministering.
Yeah,
and then
you start ministering.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, I always tell them, this is not about hair. Like, you could have went to someone way better than me. But this is about your destiny that God has for you. So it is a ministry. And it has heightened my discernment, like we was talking before we started filming. But it has heightened so many aspects of, like, who I am.
It teaches you about yourself, too.
Yes, it definitely has. It has definitely taught me. You've even taught me different things about myself that I've grown to, over the years, So it definitely teaches you about yourself. It teaches you what you don't want to be. It teaches you the good parts of who you are, So definitely over the 20 years, it has heightened a lot of things about myself.
That's a good one. Well, I have some questions here.
Sure.
So I just dropped that one, and I want to break it up a little bit. So what are some of the craziest things you've heard from a hair client? I'm going to give one first.
Okay.
So a client said, last week actually, she said, her ends were so split that you could, like when she combed it down, it was here, but you could see through it from here. If you you didn't need to put a white paper like we do, you could see through her hair. She said, well, the split ends, it does make my ponytail. She said, without that split ends, my ponytail would not be slamming. So then she put it in a ponytail. And I said, where is the but right. So that was one of the craziest things. What is one of the craziest things you hear?
I've had an experience like that. I hadn't seen a client in a long time. I'm talking about years. And I remember running up to them like, hey! And the first thing I saw was their hair. Like, so it stopped me from the middle of hugging them to like,
ooh.
And I was just like, what happened to your hair? Because I was like, my first.
Because we're used to.
We see hair first.
Yep.
We might forget your name, but we like, did I do your hair
I've
before?
touched your hair before, yep.
Did I do your hair before?
Yep.
What style did I do? Oh, okay, I remember
that's
you.
you.
That's how we remember people.
Yep,
We don't.
Yep.
We might have 100 Keishas, but if you tell me like, okay.
Oh yeah, girl, Keisha with the short hair, the blonde, yep. The weave, Keisha with the weave.
Yeah, you have glasses, and what color's your hair? So we remember by the hair. So when she came in, I was like, oh my God, what happened to your hair? What? She said nothing. I was like, oh. Now the attention of everybody's looking at her, and I'm like, oh my God, I did not mean to draw this attention, but the hair looks crazy.
Sometimes we get excited too.
Yeah.
Not always.
And it was embarrassing for her, but in the end, not to cut you off, I was telling her, I was like, you need to cut your hair, and she was like, it's nothing wrong with my hair, and so we went through the whole spew of. You can see right through it, So I've experienced that. I've experienced clients coming in talking about, I want blue and red, and I want relaxer, but I don't want you to relax this part, and I want you to cut this, and maybe put a strip. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. You know, like, so you hear people say some stuff, you be like, where did you get this from? You know, so.
I have a good one, Toy. Have you ever had a client, right, that come in the salon and said, I need my hair like this, but I don't want to relax it. I don't want a haircut, but I need that haircut. Or have you ever had one of those experiences?
Of course.
Because I had one, honey. She needed that short haircut with a curl, but she's not cutting her hair.
Listen, it was a girl that used to work in my salon. I'm not gonna name her, but she said something to me. She said, "Toy, they don't want that hairstyle. They want her face." You know, like
yes,
that
exactly.
when she said that, I'm like, oh my God,
it is true.
And she was like, it's true. She's like, people, they know they can't get this. They know they don't have the hair for it. They know they don't want to add tracks. They don't want to do a weave. It's deception. They want her face. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's so crazy because even over the years, you start to see who you be able to deal with and who you can't deal with.
And then it's okay to fire a client or to move them on. As hairstylists, we have to realize every client is not your client. You all have a tribe. Every client is not a part of your tribe. And it's okay to say no. I'm working on that saying no thing. Because I'm like, okay. I feel like I get everybody just to say yes. But anyway, what is one thing people don't know about a hairstylist?
That we need time too. They don't really care about our time. They don't think that, you know, and we did it. I don't even remember a long time ago, it was like a snowstorm. Years ago, it was a bad snowstorm. And we was, I think it was me, you, and maybe Nikki was on the phone, another D sister. Maybe me and you were on the phone, maybe I was on the phone with her or something. And I remember saying, we got a day off, right? And then all of a sudden, we all started getting phone calls at the same time. We was like, hold on. And it was clients that was saying, my boss said I could have the day off, so I wanted to come in.
It was you and I.
I said, whoa. And so we said to each other, we said, you said, Toy, we did this to ourselves.
Yes, we do.
We did this. Yeah. We made them feel like it's okay for us to just drop who we are and do whatever they say to do. So it, you know, it's like I don't want to use the word train because you train dogs and cats, but it's almost like we train them to be like that. And then you gotta kind of we allowed it, and now we have to kind of turn the re-educate. Re-educate. Like, no, we have lives too. We need time too. We need to take off.
We're humans, though.
We're human.
I was told once, I never forget. I was here. I used to come in like 7 and work from 7 and leave at 12:01. You know, you were young, have all that energy. I used to do that. And I remember one day I was here and I wasn't feeling well. It was during the time I wasn't well, actually. I didn't know I wasn't well. I just wasn't feeling well. I needed a cup of tea. And then I realized I didn't eat all day. And I was doing a client's hair and I blow dry and then it was about to curl. And I said, can you give me a few minutes? I just got to get a cup of tea. And she looked at me and said, can you please finish my hair before you have that tea? Because I just want to get out of here. I never forget that. That day I remember, I never forget that because I felt so abused and used as hairstylists. So I want to have different conversations too. I wanted to have this conversation because I want to know how hairstylists feel. You've been doing this for 20 years
Abused. I remember it was the young lady that was my assistant in my salon. She was telling me a story. She was saying, Toy, I remember she was like, oh my God, my stomach hurt. She called the client like, my stomach hurt, I have a headache, I've been, you know, throwing up, like I just don't feel good. And instead of the lady saying, I'll change my appointment, she said, well, what if I come 15 minutes later?
Yes.
I've been in my salon sick as a dog. And I've had clients say, oh, do you want to just take a nap for an hour?
But wait, Toy, I have a better one, right? At some point, I used to think something was wrong with me. Because I'm like, maybe I'm not consistent enough. Maybe I'm not. And then I'm like, but consistent, you're here from 7 in the morning. You're not doing enough. So I used to just keep doing more and more. Because we used to think that it's something to do with us. I've learned from some veteran hairstylists how to actually balance. Like now, I said to someone, eventually I'm gonna, you know, 2 days a week. You need family time. You need me
Absolutely.
time. You need health time. They don't really get that.
No.
But I have another beautiful question for you. This is in benefit. So we've spoke about what clients have done before. So a client came in and she said she hasn't been to a salon in years, right? And I said, really? I said, why? So she's had a bad experience. She said she was in the hair salon for, one said she was there for 8 hours. This one last week said she was there for 10.5 hours
Wow.
in the hair salon.
Wow.
What are some of the stories you hear regarding other clients' bad experience being in the salon? I have another one.
Honestly, one thing that even when I had my salon, you know how like some women are catty or they like, and I know you don't allow this either, but you know how like some women can walk in and don't speak to everybody,
Oh, yeah.
or some women can walk in and have an attitude. I did not allow that in the salon. Like everybody had to speak to everybody.
Yes.
Everybody was like on the same page. Now, in regards to like when clients would come in, I didn't really get into talking about other stylists.
No, I don't believe in
So
that.
so I didn't really I would just ask them, okay, how long, what's the problem? Oh, I just, you know, I didn't like how they was doing. And I'd just be like, okay, what are you looking for? Like you said. So a lot of times I'd be like, let's see what your hair looks like. Let's see what your ending result. I didn't really get into like
Why, the
what
whys and
happened,
what. Right.
you know, because at the end of the day, one thing I learned from a veteran, she told me, Miss Myrna, I used to work with her. Erwin actually introduced me to her. Miss Myrna always said to me, she said, Gal, she used to call me Gal. She was from the country. She's South. And she said, you better relax yourself. You see, I got these spider veins in the back of my leg and my fingers just like this from using Marcel's. She said, because I kept going and going. And when I got sick, those clients went somewhere else. You know, so I always remember her saying that to me, because at the end of the day, they'll talk about what they didn't get in the one salon, then they'll do the same thing to you. So I didn't really allow it.
And that's one thing too I was taught, because the reason I'll ask the new clients, and it's funny you said that, the reason I'll ask new clients, like they'll say, I haven't been in the salon, oh, I haven't had a salon experience. I believe in coming in the salon. We've had this discussion. It should be an experience.
Absolutely.
It should have a steamer, hair treatment. You should be greeted. It should be an experience. You're here to be relaxed. And it's one of the things I'm grateful for with COVID.
Yes. That's one of the questions you asked me. How did it affect me, good and bad? The good thing about it, or another good note, because that wasn't really a bad experience for me. The good thing is that I learned to space my time. Like I've learned that I don't have to have 10 people, 15 people in one day. I could do 5 or whatever the case may be, space them out and just really give them that experience.
Because I was one of that stylists too. Do you know I used to do 20 something
I
clients a
believe
day?
you. Sometimes I would drive by and I'm like,
I'm
oh, that's
still
still
here.
working?
I'm still here. I used to do 20 something clients a day. And I need to take pictures of my old appointment books, actually, just for myself.
That's crazy. I still keep my appointment books too.
Yeah,
from
I
day
have
one.
to get rid of them now.
Oh, okay.
I just want to take pictures. They're just too much. And I realized, Toy, how on earth are you doing 20 clients per day? They're not getting a service.
Yeah. And honestly, I used to have my clients in the salon long time like that too. When I started thinking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really used to have them in the salon for a long time. Just trying to get that number.
Just trying to get that number. But now I feel like we're doing more quality work.
Absolutely.
As opposed to quantity. We're actually sitting with clients and having relationship with clients and helping them throughout. But I feel like as hairstylists, as licensed hairstylists, and as an educator, I could say this, we lose a lot of hair clients. And, well, I haven't lost them. They come right back. You know this. Because they're coming in and they want to see how many people you have on Instagram, what your followers are.
Absolutely.
Oh, Miss Claudette, I need my hair done. Can I see your IG link? What's your thought process on that though? On social media, the effect of social media with here with this generation and styling here. What's your thought process on that? Because it's a two-part question.
Okay, so honestly, the girls that used to work in my salon, they helped me get into social media because I'm still old school. I still have an appointment book, which is probably bad, but I do.
Not.
Okay, so I still have an appointment book, and I'm still like very old school, like, you know. So they was like, Toy, you gotta get with it. You gotta get on this Instagram thing. You have to show pictures.
Love my young style.
Yeah, you have to do it. So I started doing it, right? But it didn't really work for me. Personally, it didn't work for me. Just like Facebook is more my friend than Instagram,
right?
And they always say that Facebook was for older people, but it works for me, right? So
we heard
it works for me. So, and a lot of my clients, new clients, they'll say, "Oh, well, do you have any pictures?" And the first question I always ask, I said, "Who referred you?" Because a lot of my clientele is referred based, so that means you've seen something that you liked. Because I don't have like that type of.
I used to say I don't have time to take pictures because I'm styling here, but I used to say that, and I really didn't have time. Like a client left here with a beautiful color I did on her hair, and I asked her to send me a photo. She hasn't sent it to me yet. When she comes back for maintenance, I gotta get the photo, and I am gonna post it on Instagram. I'm learning to use Instagram now a little bit more. I have a booking site online. Because of COVID, it's online, but they still have to call or text me for book. But there's the part two question to that. So that's a positive with Instagram, helping you and throughout the journey. But how do you feel about the YouTube stylists, I should say?
YouTube stylists. Oh my goodness. What I can say is, Claudette, I think we're blessed that we came in the industry when we did. That I can say. Because I think for those who are coming in now to go and, have YouTubers or YouTube hairstylists to like being challenged with them is different from when we came up, because we didn't have that. It was like we went out there, we passed out flyers, we gave phone numbers out.
Which still works, by the way.
Yes, I believe it still works, right? But I think I always say to my clients, like, oh my gosh, I'm glad I came in when I did.
Yes, me too.
I'm so glad that it was 20 years ago and that I'm not starting now, because all I would have to rely on is social media, because that's the thing to do, So like social media, it works, because even with my trichology thing, that's what I'm going to use that's what I'm using to rebrand myself is social media.
How are you going to manage social media, Toy?
I'm going to have somebody do it.
We spoke about putting you on a booking site, and you remember we argued back, and I'm like, I remember we went to a training and they were teaching us about social media. Remember those trainings?
Absolutely.
I think we had a social media class like 4 times or 6 times. I think we've gotten more lessons on social media than most young people I know.
Absolutely.
The problem is we still didn't get it.
Yeah.
I still don't know how to do my links and all of that.
I feel like I'm going to have to hire somebody to do it. That's just the bottom line. I'm just going to have to hire somebody to do it. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I have a 20-year-old girl. Maybe she's about between 20 and 23. She's all into the YouTube and the social media.
We're going to stay in our lanes.
I'm going to stay in my lane.
Hair texture, curl pattern. We're going to style. We're going to grow the hair. We're going to stay in, we're going to stay right
Staying
there.
in my lane. And I'm just going to hire somebody to do it. That's it.
There you go.
And that's what I'm learning about myself.
And it's okay to do that. It's okay to do what you are able to do. What advice would you give to our young stylists coming up now? What advice, based on your experience, what advice would you give to our young stylists?
For instance, my niece is in a salon right now, and she's big on social media because that's just what it is. She's 20 years old, and she's taking her pictures and she's putting on social media. But I think some of the old stuff will help too. I told her, get some flyers and get some flyers made with some pictures, some comp cards, and go out and start passing them out. I mean, it works.
It works.
It really works. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the old school way, Because just like I was telling you about Miss Myrna, it was stuff that she told me from what she experienced, and it worked for me.
I think for me, what I think we should do, and I think we all are guilty of that, just learning to marry both.
Absolutely. Mixing
You
the
know,
good
I'm
and the
going to do a
bad.
little social media, and I'm going to still do my little hand out my flyer, but also I'm absolutely
Well, I don't know if
going to
I'm be
hire somebody
yeah,
to
I don't
do
know if
the
I'm gonna
big
be
thing.
be passing out no flyers.
Final question.
Mm-hmm.
What tip would you give? What is one tip would you give a client?
Wait, this interview's almost over?
Not yet.
Oh.
We're going to be talking forever.
Oh,
Don't,
okay.
don't.
Wait, what's that?
It's so easy.
I'm sorry, Claudette. I'm enjoying myself.
Yes,
Okay.
come on, girl. What advice would you give to a client right now that is going into the salon? Because there's a lot of that's a loaded question actually. Because what advice would you give to a client that's afraid to go in a salon right now and get their hair done?
What advice? See, I think it's on it's an individual situation, like on how they feel, because people have fears.
Right.
So it don't matter what you tell somebody if it's embedded in them, you can't really change it. But what I would say to them is one thing. Even in the salon now, for myself, I really space out just for the respect of my clients. So I'm actually letting them know, like, oh, I have another one coming in, so I can multitask you. You know, we're still wearing the mask and you know, just being as safe as possible. But at the end of the day, I know somebody that got out the car yesterday and passed away. So
Oh yeah.
you understand? So it's like that is not guaranteed that you're going to get sick or pass away from that. It could be something else, or you could just be fine because it's not your time. So like once your mentality, once you are set that you know God is protecting you and got you, and whatever is meant to be will happen, then you can kind of live your life.
Right. Live your life. And another thing, what I'll say to piggyback on what you were saying, I'll actually say to clients that are actually afraid to go to salons, one, you're afraid because of the COVID. Do your research, period. Whether it's because of COVID, whether if you're choosing a hairstylist to do your hair, make sure you interview your hairstylist. A lot of clients, I like when my clients interview me. I like to make sure we are from the same tribe. I like to make sure I could do what you want, because I'm the kind of stylist who would be like, Toy, do you have any availability for next week? I have a client that I'll refer to you. And I find that stylists, we're not willing to do that. You know, if I can't handle something, I have a client that may want light blonde, and I know Nicola Forbes or this person or whoever it is. I have stylists that I'm going to refer them to. So I'll say the same thing to clients. Do your research.
Absolutely.
Make sure where you're going is what's fit for you. I may not be the stylist for you, but there is a stylist out there for you. Make sure your stylist is licensed, insured, and bond. Right? That's one thing. And I also asked a question too about what you would tell the younger stylists. My advice to them would be, please pay your taxes, your insurance.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Here, it's a business. Operate as such.
Absolutely. It's absolutely important to keep all your receipts, have a good accountant, making sure you're doing stuff quarterly. You know, as far as like taking care of your paperwork and making sure your numbers are right. Because at the end of the day, that stuff will catch up to you, and you want to be able to feed into your security for when you retire, because you can't do hair. We can't, like I was just saying, when I thank God for this trichology thing, because I was saying, God, after I started being and getting involved and continuing on, I was like, God, you knew, because I can't be behind a chair another 20 years. I can't do it, because it was taxing on my body, and I didn't realize how stressed out I was until I had surgery back in February. And then when I came back to work, I didn't realize how stressed out the clients was making me feel until I started actually feeling it in my stomach. And when you get stressed, you realize we're like embedded to them, we're endeared to them, and not even realize we're making ourselves sick.
We are one of the most unhealthy workers too, because we don't take time to eat. We
No.
don't even. Some of us like now today's hairstylists. You have some that are minding their health, and I love that. And that's why for me today, like my TLC products, I love it because there's product for me, there's products for my client, and I'm understanding how to manage my health.
Absolutely.
I'm actually understanding how to be a better hairstylist. Because
Absolutely.
I think that being a great hairstylist is not only being a good styler or a good hair carer. It's about caring for that client.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you got to care enough to say, I won't be able to do you today. Because that energy and your energy, because if I'm tired, I may be arrogant to you or rude to you or not nice to you. So, you know, we could sit here and chat for hours.
Yeah.
Because I still have 20,000 questions to ask you. And I feel like we've been talking for hours.
Okay.
Toy, I want to say thank you. And this is part one because I want to bring on a couple other hairstylists and we're going to have a round table this time. But I want to say thank you for coming. Thanks for your time.
I enjoyed myself. Thank you so much for having me.
This was good. This
Thank you
was
for
good.
having me.
And it's just a little touch on some of the things we go through. You give great advice to our youth, great advice to our stylists. Thank you. It was a pleasure. And don't forget to like,
Share.
subscribe, and share. And follow us on YouTube and our Instagram page also, EOB Salon Talk. And we are actually on all platforms. So wherever you listen to your podcast, EOB Salon Talk is there. It's about salon conversation and it's about other conversation. So share us on Instagram, Toy. And how can they find you?
On Facebook, Toy-Joan Gilliam. That's Gilliam as in mother. Oop, Aaron came off. And on Instagram is Joan Emanuel Salon. That's JoanEmanuel Salon.
Yeah. Toy, thank you for being the best part of EOB Salon Talk.
Thank
It
you
was
so
good.
much for having me.
Cheers. And take some Blossom with you.
I will.
And sea moss.
Thank you.